Welcome, wonderful dreamers. Today I'm making fermented honey garlic. It has become one of my favorite homemade flavors, and it is a great way to store some of my homegrown garlic. I'm using up some of my Italian purple garlic, as this variety doesn't have the longest shelf life. Besides being a fabulous flavor, garlic has some great benefits. Garlic contains natural sulfur compounds like allicin, which has been linked to supporting the immune system. It has mild antimicrobial effects and anti-inflammatory properties. Oh, this garlic bulb has turned brown and a touch squishy. I will not use that. So while garlic is beneficial and supportive, the superstar is the honey. The bees really did make a shelf-stable product. To prepare for the honey, I have the glass jar I want to use in the dishwasher being sanitized. And I'm getting the garlic ready. I want to keep the cloves whole, with any damage removed. I find that when getting all the paper, outer layer off the garlic can make your fingers sticky. I use gloves and replace them once the residue has built up. Why honey is the superstar? The nerdy story version is: bees collect nectar in their cute little bellies. Inside the cute bee belly, the nectar gets mixed with enzymes. The enzymes break down the sugars in the nectar, which starts the process of turning nectar into honey. The bees then place the nectar in the honeycomb cells, storing food for winter and hardships. Because nectar has high levels of water, the bees then fan the nectar with their wings to evaporate around 80% of the water from the nectar. So it's kind of like their version of dehydrating fruit. So now the bees have made a shelf-stable product, one that is very low in moisture, and if stored in the right conditions can last thousands of years. And in 1922, we discovered just how amazing honey is. For in 1922, we found King Tutankhamun's tomb and discovered sealed jars that contained 3,000-year-old preserved honey. That's why when making fermented honey garlic, I always use raw and unfiltered honey. I'm not saying 100% pure honey is bad. However, most are generally called pure because they are heat-treated, which means not raw, and filtered or blended, which means not unfiltered. That's why for me raw and unfiltered is the best choice. When putting it all together, I make sure the jar is fresh out of the dishwasher so it's sanitized. I wiped the rim with a bit of vinegar. And then using a spoon fresh from the dishwasher, I spoon the garlic into my chosen jar. Then the fun part, I add the honey. When adding food like garlic to a low-acid environment, there's a risk of harmful bacteria, and the scary one is called botulism. However, because honey is naturally low in moisture, it already resists the harmful microbial growth. When I add the garlic, it introduces a small amount of moisture, along with natural microbes like yeast and bacteria. So the little bit of moisture helps to thin out the honey, allowing the garlic to sink and stay covered. And the natural microbes being a gentle fermentation process. The fermentation increases the acidity, creating an environment where harmful bacteria can't develop. And now you have a safe and shelf-stable product. Fermented honey garlic is a beautiful concoction that is good for the gut, supportive of the immune system, and an absolute superstar for the taste buds. And for safety, when I get some honey garlic out of the container, I always use a clean fresh spoon. And as long as you're adding small amounts of low moisture ingredients, you can create some amazing flavors. This is how I care for my fermented honey garlic. So what do you think, wonderful dreamers? Do you have fermented honey garlic in your pantry? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you had a good day.